Was November 2nd a sign of what's to come in 22? Hey everybody. Here's how Republicans won Virginia for the first time in a decade. Is there going to be a red tsunami in 2022? This is a story that has been sweeping the nation. It's a story of a major political comeback in a state that Republicans lost handily for the last several cycles. Former President Trump lost by 10 percentage points statewide. Meanwhile, Glenn Youngkin won by over 2 points. That's a 13-point spread in just a year's time. That's huge. Let's take a look as to why this happened and what Youngkin did to shift things radically. It wasn't just Virginia though. Democrats lost major ground in New Jersey and almost even lost the governorship there. To keep an open mind, we've assembled the opinions of 3 Democrat politicians and political consultants to examine why the Democrats got beat so badly in an election that they were supposed to win. Youngkin made education a major part of his campaign and ignored President Trump for the most part, including not showing up on his teletown hall the week before voting. That's kind of a big deal. Instead, Youngkin went after the battered Governor McAuliffe and his comments about education and whether parents should have the right to determine their own child's education. It's a pretty easy sell. Youngkin won 58% of men with children and won many suburban women that did not vote for Republicans in the 2020 election. Let's start with the queen of the progressive squad in Congress and the de facto thought leader of the Democrat Party, AOC. Bing! Her claims go against the rest of most of her Democrat colleagues.
On the election front, I actually think we have good news as well. I know that Virginia was a huge bummer, and honestly, if anything, I think that the results show the limits of trying to run a fully 100% super moderated campaign that does not excite, speak to, or energize a progressive base. And frankly, we weren't even really invited to contribute on that race.
She thinks, of course, that the Democrats didn't go progressive enough and said that they did not attack the Republicans hard enough on their race baiting and that Democrats acted like middle schoolers. She said the following: historically, moderate Democrats have believed the best way to respond to race baiting by the right is to say little, nothing. Let's take a look at what she said.
I think that we should be worried if nothing changes and if Democrats don't learn lessons. And I think one thing that moderates need to learn is that whether they want to or not, there's going to be charged discussions about race, so they need to know how to talk about it.
This goes against what many strategists are saying. Let's look at a more old school senator that has been in the news quite a bit lately, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Bing! Manchin is definitely on the opposite side of the Democrat Party from AOC. He has been one of the 2 holdouts in the Senate that killed Biden's first infrastructure package. He has continued to say that it is the Democrat Party's push toward progressivism that led to their loss in Virginia. Manchin specifically claimed that the U.S. is center-right and that our country is not down for the progressive agenda that Biden is pushing. He recently told CNN, Bing! This is not a center-left or a left country. We are a center, if anything, a little center-right country. That's being shown, and we ought to be able to recognize that. Manchin is saying that the Democrats have gone too woke, and now they're going broke in winning states that they should have actually won numerically. It's really good for Republicans. Manchin then went on in the interview to talk about how the Senate has really turned into a hostile workplace for him due to progressives targeting him for these stances. Remember, Manchin voted with Trump on many bills in the Senate and is a much more classic Democrat. He was recently verbally attacked in public after leaving his houseboat. So let's take a look at these pictures. So it makes sense that he's not that big of a fan of the progressive wings of his party. The last opinion that echoes what Manchin is saying is Democrat strategist James Carville. Bing! If you don't know him, he is famous for getting Bill Clinton elected in 1992. He's a Democrat, but strongly disagrees with AOC on what caused their loss in Virginia. He thinks that it is the stupid wokeness that got McAuliffe crushed in these elections. Carville points to the things like defund the police movement and the Democrat push in San Francisco to take Abraham Lincoln's name off of schools. He said that people see that. and they don't like it. The main thing that is driving voting is the economy. Carville is famous for saying, "It's the economy, stupid." He says that the Democrats are suppressing their voters across the country with the kind of progressive bills and language that they use. It's turning off voters and it's making people not want to vote for them. Biden is at the lowest approval rating of his career in office so far. This is definitely part of the reason that the elections went so bad for Democrats. They recently won the runoff in California, and although it looked like the nation was on their side, Virginia shows us that much of this wokeism being pushed by the Democrats isn't popular. I mean, imagine that. People want the right to determine what's best for them and their kids' futures. I know I do, and if a politician is telling me that I don't know what's best for me and my kids, or I can't, I know that would definitely get me out to vote. Who are you voting for in 2022? Republican, Democrat? Sound off in the comments below, because I want to hear your opinions as to why the Democrats lost the Virginia election so badly. Love you all. See you on the next video. My nose is doing that popping thing again. Dang nose. Gross.
Good.
One more time.